Good evening. Well, Miss Minas, are we
Good
good to
evening,
go?
sir.
Good evening. And
Yes.
Rachna ma'am, good evening.
Sir, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening. Good evening, Arun Mohan.
Yes, sir. Very good evening.
Yeah, please start, please start.
I welcome all the exuberant educators to the 195th web training series of our BTAG in association with CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. Now it's my time to turn on my AI to introduce our moderator of this day. So let's not wait a bit. Here we go.
Dear educators, emotional intelligence is important for teachers to understand their students and themselves. Our 195th session discusses how teachers can use emotional intelligence to enhance their teaching. Now I, the entity, turn on my AI Celine to welcome the moderator.
Good evening to all. I welcome all the exuberant educators to the 195th web training series of BTAG, in association with CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Ms. Minaz Sheikh. Ms. Minaz is a graduate from the prestigious SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Currently working with Shining Star International School, Abu Dhabi, UAE. She is a community of practice educator, a public speaker, a certified soft skills trainer, a book coach, a clarity coach, and also a human resource professional. Her different roles make her a highly versatile human being. She believes that being a passionate leader and a lifelong learner and an enthusiastic educator is her life's mission. Minaz ma'am, it is our esteemed pleasure to have you as our moderator. We cordially welcome you. Over to you, ma'am.
A warm welcome to our Meenaz ma'am. Actually, Celine missed one point. She is a social science faculty as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arun, for the beautiful introduction. It was very impressive. Good evening to all the dignitaries and participants present in today's webinar. I, on behalf of BTAG, in association with Bharat Sahodaya, extend a warm welcome to our respected resource person, Ms. Rachna Jagdish Ram, Project Director, Dr. Abdul Salam, Ms. Annie John, Principal, Makam Trivandrum, and all the educators to this 195th web training on the topic Emotional Intelligence for Teachers. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and understand emotions in yourself and others, and the ability to use this awareness to manage your behavior and relationships. Emotional intelligence in teaching profession focuses on understanding and managing emotions, fostering positive relationships, and enhancing overall well-being. In this discussion today, we'll all delve into significance of EI for teachers, its impact on classroom dynamics, and practical strategies to cultivate emotional intelligence in both educators and students. Before starting with the session, here are some housekeeping rules. Please be a mindful listener during the session for the maximum benefit and takeaways. Kindly put your queries in the chat box, but be a patient listener as most of the queries will be answered at the end of the session. Be responsive through chat box to the resource person question. You may keep your videos on. You may raise virtual hand during the question hour to get your doubts clarified. Certificate link will be shared towards the end of the session. Now let me welcome today's dignitaries. I extend a hearty welcome to our dynamic program director, Dr. Abdul Salam sir, who is a renowned personality in education fraternity. Dr. Salam is a distinguished CBSE resource person and a master trainer. He is a principal of the prestigious Vibgyor High, Bangalore. He is also the founder of BTAG, that is Bharat Transformers Academic Group, a consortium of educators and the teaching fraternity across the globe, connecting them together to empower the nation. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you for the presidential address, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Minas. Very glad to see you once again on this platform. You were, associating with us from the beginning. I think when we started off these webinars, I think training sessions in the beginning, and I could see you growing in terms of your career. And hearty congratulations. Now you are HOD of social science. Respected resource person Rachna ma'am, this is her second session for BTAG, and all the educators who have joined this platform from India and abroad. Thank you so much for joining. Hearty welcome once again. The topic is very relevant. That's the reason I requested Rachna ma'am to talk about this particular topic, as we can see that it is very essential, very important in workplace for success. Not only in workplace, in personal life as well. And the thing, it is to be practiced. We can see in every workplace, we can see there are conflicts, there are, arguments, there are heated exchanges, and all these things that happens because of lack of emotional competency. And also this will be helpful for children who struggle to make relationship with one another, with the teachers and all. We can practice emotional intelligence there as well. To personal life or professional life, we have to keep one thing in mind, that we have some purpose in our life here on earth. We have been sent here, and our lifespan is very short, maybe 65 on an average. And countdown for many of us must have started for their lifespan as well. When we think about ourselves, there is one thing, an understanding about ourselves and understanding about others. Most often we are not ready to compromise because there is a villain within us. Just like the Shakespearean villain Iago, there is an ego within us that often, hinders, stops us from compromising. When we understand that we have come with nothing and returned with nothing, this ego has no place in our life. You might all be knowing the great Emperor Alexander. When he was towards his deathbed, he asked his people to do three things. His corpse, his dead body should be borne, carried by doctors who have treated him. And his grave should be filled with all the riches, jewels, diamonds, gold, everything. And while carrying his dead body, his hands should be kept outside. Both the hands should be kept outside for people to see. There is a purpose behind it, right? Why he wanted his doctors to carry his body. To know that, even medicine, medical science also cannot help us. And he wanted all the riches to be buried along with him. There is nothing. These riches are not going to help us in our life or hereafter. And he wanted his hands to be, shown outside while being carried, to let people know that we are returning with a bare hand, empty-handed. So that is life. So when we keep away our ego, we will be very successful in our life. We will be the best person, the most humble, most successful person. So there are many things to practice in our life to be a successful person. So that's the reason we are here. We can listen to Rachna ma'am. Definitely we will be taking away a lot of things. Thank you so much for joining. Over to Minas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking story. And your words have given the right start to the session, I believe. Now it's time to introduce and welcome our respected resource person for this webinar. Ms. Rachna Jagdish Ram, Founder Director of Research and Development, Escamedic Solution, Bangalore. A passionate academician, psychologist, life coach, and a virtuoso corporate professional. Ma'am has served 2 international corporates like HSBC UAE, Westpac Bank, Australia operations in I, and healthcare operations of USA for almost 2 decades. Her Escamedic solution is an expedition towards transforming educational institutions to generate a positively charged, enthusiastic, and promising new generation for future world. She mentions that her diverse background and versatility in counseling and life coaching enables her to tap a plethora of experiences in sharing, connecting, and engaging with people. Ma'am, I wholeheartedly welcome you to this session. The platform is all yours. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Salam and Ms. Minas. And Dr. Abdul Salam, thank you very much for the philosophical journey of a story. In fact, it helps us, such stories or such narrations help us to actually kickstart the program in greater sense, because you were mentioning about the ego, the purpose of life, and all those things. So everything, if you look in a broad window, it comes down all to emotions, isn't it? So emotion is something which needs to actually be balanced so much so that we understand the realities of life. When you're able to balance your emotion, you're more close to your reality, and then you're able to handle the normal stresses. That is what the essence is all about. And that is a very insightful narration. Thank you very much for that. And thanks, Ms. Minas, for the wonderful introduction. Okay, so the topic was given to me by Dr. About emotional intelligence. And I actually like to speak a lot about emotional intelligence because in fact, I feel that this is one of the most, important things that we need, we have to be equipped with emotional intelligence rather than any kind of other quality, because intelligence as such is something which we can actually acquire a lot. But if you're not emotionally intelligent, then you don't balance both, and then you don't get into success. So our topic for today is emotional intelligence for teachers, and how what is the scope? How much can we benefit from that? So let me share my screen with you. So Mrs. Minas has given a very straightforward definition about emotional intelligence. Okay, so what was mentioned was that, what is emotional intelligence? As a in very simple terms, that's exactly what it is. So I would like to walk you through a few slides where I will be explaining into not very high level though, but I'll try my best to break it down into fragments so that you can easily understand it within our 45 minutes window. Okay. So our highlights will be the perception of emotions. What are emotions? For you to understand to be intelligent on your emotions, you need to understand what are emotions. How do you use your emotions for thinking? That is a normal kind of thinking, instead of distorted or dichotomous or those kind of thinking. Understanding your emotions. What are your emotions like, and how do you manage your emotions? You have so many emotions in you, but how do you manage it? Okay, this is going to be our scope of program today. So why do teachers need emotional intelligence? This is one topic, as doctor said, that everybody needs this in life, whether be it personal life or professional life, anything. But why do teachers need it the most? It is actually, I think that they are the ones who totally need it the most, because so many factors come there. They deal with a lot of stressors of work, isn't it? They come across a lot of stressful situations. Handling children from 0 to 12, K-12, means the children start from, I think, 4 years of age or 5 years of age till they cross the growing years, and then they reach the adolescence, and they're neither an adult or they're neither a child when they leave school. So they are going to handle this growing stage of children as much as the parents. They are actually sharing the growth graph of the child. Overcome challenges and conflict. There'll be a lot of conflicts that they have to undergo. In school, so many things happen, so many, behavioral issues of children, with parents, pressure from parents, peer pressure, the management pressure, so many things, their lesson plans, then, so many holidays falling in Britain. Now I think it's a red alert in Kerala. There are going to be rains, and the rains are going to, close the school. So schools will be shut for how many days now? We don't know, but the lesson plans are in place. The exams are coming. So many things that they have to do. They have to multitask roles. They have their personal life. They have their family. They have things to do at home. Okay, and it's after everything that they come with their, teaching notes, and they come to the class, and they have a 8-hour session. Probably one teacher has got like 1 hour after the other. She has to teach from maybe first standard to the third. She has multiple sessions, and so many things, like they have to handle so many things. There are days when they have to, rush out to meet their own children at school. I mean, some necessity like PTA meetings, they have to meet the teachers, their children's teachers, okay, where their parents do. And they may have so many responsibilities. So they are a multitasking role. But in school, what do they have? They have paperwork. They have so many things to do. Apart from school, not only the studies, it's apart from studies, they've got so many things. When there's a school day coming, they have to do the stage decoration. So coordination, arranging things. Okay, so many things the teachers do. Then what else? Better student-teacher-parent relationship. Between a student and teacher, there has to be a relationship which is actually, it's not a defined relation, it's an undefinable relationship. It can't be like a parent. A teacher can never be a parent. She can only be a second parent, but there has to be some boundaries. Same with the teacher-parent relationship. Parents have all expectations on the children, because parents expect the children to be the best, and they expect teachers to give the best. Even if teachers give the best, the expectations never cease. It's actually more expectations. So teachers have to balance everything together. So in order to balance that, what do you need? You need to regulate your emotions. So you need to manage your emotions. Now I mentioned emotions a lot. Okay, emotional intelligence, emotion. Now what are emotions? We'll talk about that in the next slide. So, okay, let's see what are the challenges faced. Classroom management. There may be children all over, screaming, shouting, or then, bullying each other. They just don't, you can't just manage the class. You've had a very tough day in the morning. Just let's take a typical morning for a teacher, a difficult day. It's not a typical day. You wake up, something has gone wrong with it. It's a normal thing. Sometimes I don't call it abnormal. It can happen. Sometimes, there's a power failure, or forget it, your alarm just didn't work. Or then, you went to the kitchen, the milk boiled over. You were going to change that when something else happened. You forgot something on the stove that got burnt. And here's your child who hasn't done the day's homework, or there's something which needs to be done. There's a lot of rush happening. There's a lot of things going on. And then after everything, you just rush into your bus, your school bus, or maybe your conveyance. You reach school, and the moment you're trying to step into school, your sandals break. Isn't it a typical scenario? It can happen to anyone, isn't it? These things happen, and then you come to class. You just sigh there, and then you enter the class, and people just, there are like 70 eyes looking at you, 35 pairs of eyes looking at you and say, "Good morning, ma'am." And then you say, "Good morning." That's how you start your class, isn't it? There are days which, it happens like that. What happens next? The parental involvement. Why is my son not doing so good in class? He's been studying the whole day, but he's not faring too good. Why does this happen? Why? You have a parent there. Peer relationship. Look, something is wrong. I can't just go to this class. You have to manage this. Or that, I just can't do it. Or you just have actually depended on somebody to do something for you. It could be that, you need to update something for your work, but your peer hasn't done it. You have your paperwork, your papers, so many papers for valuation and correction. You haven't done that. You never find time because it's after all so many things that are happening. You have outside school hours where you have things to do for school, technological advancement. There's this new smart board which has come and you're being trained on that, but you're still not too sure how to handle this. Disciplining students. They're so noisy. You just can't manage. One side you're trying to manage them, on the other class there's a class which without a teacher there, and they are on the desk and shouting or screaming their lungs out. You try to maintain discipline here, your class goes for a toss. Personalized learning. Every other student in the class is different. The way you teach is not sufficient enough for him to understand or for her to understand. They're different people. So you have to teach them in a way they understand. How are you going to do this in your 40 or 30 time period? Your time management. Yes, we spoke about the time management. You're having different kind of learners in front of you. Extended working hours. Yes, differentiating and personalizing. Everything is different for each and every student. I don't understand this, ma'am. But yes, ma'am, I understood. I just need something more. You're burned out, isn't it? You're just burned out. It happens. What is a burnout? It's a fatigue, like any other person undergoes a burnout. At the end of the day, you feel that you are done. You just can't do anything more. You can't. That is the situation that happens, isn't it? Then what happens next? This boils down on the next day. The next day also you come to school. You're not okay. You're not physically okay. You're not mentally okay. Because if you're physically not okay, you're not mentally okay too, isn't it? Here's an example of a stressor that I'm going to show you. That's your PTA meeting that you have in 1969, where you have a teacher, a parent, and a child. The parent is pointing at the child and asking, what's up with those grades? But this was something which I took last year. I'm still continuing. It's too good to not share. What's up with those grades? You are being questioned as a teacher. Why is my son not faring? You are being questioned. Isn't this a stressor? So what is your emotion at this time? What is your emotion? You feel angry, you feel frustrated, or you just, you don't know, you're just going to go short of fuse, isn't it? So just like how Mrs. Meena has explained, emotions, what are emotions? Emotions are feelings which create a neurophysiological change and in the mental state. How do they create it? It can be created through thoughts, feelings, a behavioral response, a pleasure or a displeasure. A displeasure is behavior or some, you are triggered with some anxiety or anger or whatever it is. It causes a neuropsychological change in you. You feel like, oh my God, this is going too much. And that is your mental state. And then that's why I put the arrows back. So how do you behave? You just go back and say, look, this is not me. I cannot handle it. This is something beyond my capacity. If there's this parent who's just screaming his lungs out, you say, look, I'm not at fault. It is your child. I've been repeatedly trying to handle this, but this goes out of my hands. I have told you several times, but that doesn't help, isn't it? That is a normal thing that we feel like reacting. Anger is a very normal emotion. It's not an abnormal emotion. It's a normal emotion. But the way we handle anger has to be the best emotion, because you have to handle that anger. That is be very tactful. Very tactical, because that is something which has to be managed well. So if you don't manage it well, then you are really going to get burnt out in several ways. Okay? Now, same definition what was told earlier. Emotions are mental states brought on by neurophysiological changes, variously associated with thoughts, feelings, behavioral responses, and a degree of pleasure or displeasure. There may be times when you're complimented You say, oh, thank you so much. How do you feel when you come in the morning and then you're greeted by somebody and say, good morning. What a wonderful job you have done. How do you feel? You feel that pleasure in you, isn't it? So what happens to you? You are emitting a positive emotion in you, isn't it? It's not, so if somebody comes and tells you you've done a wonderful job, you would say, oh no, not again. No, you wouldn't say that. It's a normal emotion. You will say, oh, okay, I'm so happy to hear that. So that is how you have a emotion triggered in you. Okay. So what are the types of emotions? We have positive and we have negative emotions. As I told you, there are so many positive things that we see: admiration, adoration, aesthetics, appreciation, to relief, and even romance. All these things are positive emotion. But what are the negative emotions? Anger, anxiety, confusion, fear, sadness, vengeance, suspicion. All these are negative emotions. So if positive emotions and negative emotions are not handled well, what happens? Even if it is a positive emotion, you should know how to handle it. You can't be just, if you're happy with something and you just clap your hands, or your students clap your hands and they just are happy. They can't be happy the whole day. They can't be just dancing the whole day. You have to control your emotions, isn't it? You can't yell, scream, or shout the whole day. Or you can't be beyond a certain point. You can't do that. And even if you're angry, what do? There are times when you really, really, really want to throw things at children, or you really can't manage. You say, just calm down and sit there. Come to class, you say, what is happening here? What the hell is happening? We all do that, isn't it? What is happening in this class? This is just hell here. But can you do that? You cannot. So how do you do that? How do you manage that particular situation? That is what boils down to emotional intelligence. Okay. Now, I've been talking about emotional intelligence. What is intelligence? Intelligence is something where you say that somebody is intelligent when they can actually grasp things or pick up things, or they speak well, or they memorize, learn information. They use logic to solve problems. A child or a person or anybody is so intellectual and so intelligent. They have high intelligence quotient, isn't it? Intelligence quotient is actually something which is an inbuilt thing. You can measure intelligence quotient. It is actually a quantifiable and a qualifiable commodity. You can actually, you can take the measure of it. So if you say they're intelligent, but what is this emotional intelligence? When you intelligently handle your emotions, your reactions, your actions, that is called emotional intelligence. Okay, when you're able to handle your anger, the way you react to anger, and your actions following, okay, that is called emotional intelligence. For example, there's this parent who came and shouted at you at the PTA meeting, and then you have been writing in his diary every other day saying that the child is not complying to what you're saying. He doesn't answer the questions. He doesn't do his worksheets. But still, the child comes back the same way. At the end of the term, the parent comes to you and says, what is this? Why is my child not performing? You would say, look, I told you this. I have been telling you this since a very, very long time. Your emotion is anger and frustration. Your reaction is what I'm just saying. And your action is, I cannot accept this. That is something which you will want to do, or that is a reaction. But how will you intelligently handle this? I totally agree with you. Your son has fared very badly. I agree. I was actually quite worried about this. I think I have been informing you, but somewhere down the line, we lost it. Don't say you lost it, or don't say the child lost. You can say we. Take that responsibility. You can say we lost it. Somewhere it has just gone beyond our control. And I'm sure, what is your action? What is your next action? I'm sure that we can bring it back. Please, let's calm down. Let us handle the situation. Let us deal with the situation. How do you feel? Are you not intelligently handling this? Intelligently, you are handling this. This is exactly what is called emotion. I gave you an example so that this is very easy for you to understand. So you are actually intelligently handling it. So the same definition, ability to understand feelings or emotions of others or your own feelings, and you're able to manage your emotions of your own self in a positive direction. You were really, really, really angry. You were frustrated. But what did? You just steer that emotion in a different direction. You just steer that into positivity. Yes, I accept the situation. You know it's not your fault and you're being pointed fingers, but then still you're accepting that it doesn't matter. Even if you accept, it's not going to be your fault. You're not going to accept it because it's your fault. You're just trying to steer the situation to a positive direction. You communicate effectively. You said that in an effective manner. You empathized with the parent. You said, yes, I feel sorry it happened. We should work for it. We should deal. And you're motivated with constant perseverance. We are not going to give up. Let's try together and let us achieve it. That is what you call emotional intelligence. Now, what are the components of emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence needs certain kind of components. You have to possess these things. They are self-awareness, your self-regulation, self-motivation, empathy, and social skills. These are the fundamentals of, or the fundamental components of emotional intelligence. Now, what is self-awareness? You have a picture here of a cat looking into the mirror and seeing a lion. Okay. So what do you feel about yourself? That is your own, you know your level of understanding of your own emotions, okay? And you know your emotions and you're able to express it, you're able to express the feelings by word. For example, you felt the anger, you felt the frustration, you understand your emotion, but are you going to express it the same way? Can you do that? There may be times when you really need to be angry and you need to express your anger. Anger cannot just go, you can't suppress it, but you can actually steer your anger, you steer your frustration into betterment. You can manage it better so that your anger is redirected into a different behavior. That is a very fundamental policy of anger management. Okay, so here you understand your emotions and you express the feelings by words. You said yes and you steered it and you're understanding and you're expressing by words. And what are the consequences of the emotion? You understand. If you are going to show your anger to the parent, what will happen? You say, look, I have told you several times. The parent is going to shout back at you. So what? I'm paying the fees for my child to come here and study and you are responsible. No, I'm not responsible. As a parent, you are responsible. What will happen here? You go back and forth, isn't it? Does that help? It doesn't. But if you are able to manage it like this, then your emotions may change and shift over time because you handled it this way. So next time the parent will come to you, or probably after 3 or 4 sessions, despite how much efforts the child is not performing well, due to whatever reason, the parent will come back to you and say, I really don't know what to do because, we have been trying so much. Let's not give up. So then the emotion is changed. You're changing the emotion there. You're not putting that emotion into a different tangent. You're bringing it to a positive direction. Okay? Self-regulation. What is the self-regulation? You notice the increase in the emotional response. You saw the way to respond. You consider the consequence of it. You knew that if you're going to be angry or frustrated, it's really, really not going to help you. It is going to make matters worse because the parent will shout back at you, or you will. I'm just taking an example of a parent and a teacher because that's typically what, which will stand. Okay. It's easy to understand. So what will happen? The consequences of the response is going to be bad and you will choose the response which is best. Okay, now I know what will work here. You can think, there is no way that I can be angry because there's no use in being angry. In the same time, if I regulate myself and I turn it out, you can't just regulate yourself by saying, oh, look, ma'am, okay, I understand. Oh, you're looking so beautiful. Or your son is such a lovely child. No, that's wrong. According to the situation, you have to regulate the response and turn it towards a positive outcome or take it to another goal. How, as I told you, let us deal it together or let us work it out together. So what happens for the non-regulation? When you're not regulated properly, your anger, frustration, and anxiety will trigger your mental and physical response. Oh, you get frustrated and then you get angry and then you actually show your anger. It produces your stress hormones, increase in heart rate, blood pressure, your hypertension, your blood pressure rises, and then your breathing rate will also rise, isn't it? Now, what is motivation? That's the next component. Motivation is that process that stimulates and directs someone towards achieving their goal. That's a driving force. Motivation is nothing but a driving force. So, how does motivation help you? You need to achieve a certain goal. You have to keep yourself constantly motivated. You can't give up. Be it your work, your personal life, or whatever. You have to set a goal and you have to work towards it. So emotionally intelligent people will never give up on their goals. No, this is too tough for me. I cannot do it. This is too much for me. I cannot. You have to set your goal, set a realistic goal. You have to work towards it. You may feel challenges, but you have to be intelligent enough emotionally to break through the challenges. Say, no matter what, these are things which are coming against me, but these are all learning situations where I can learn, I can grasp, and I can really get the best out of me. That is what you call motivation. Empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is nothing but just stepping into other shoes and thinking how they would feel in the situations. You can actually see what the other person feels. Any situation, be it your students, be it your peers, be it your parents. What is emotion? This son is fed so badly. They are working people, or they are struggling so hard to educate their child. They put in all efforts, but still, you think of the emotion of the child. I have failed in class. I have failed in my subject. I have not been able to do good. The parent feel my son has not done good. So you should think in those terms. How would you feel it if it were you? You can tell the child, nothing to worry. It's not the end of the exam. There's always a next opportunity. What is there? We can try better, isn't it? You can tell the parent, there is always a next time. It's okay. It's just one exam. So whatever he has not done, let's see where we can do better. That is what you call empathy. You're actually tuning into their emotions, isn't it? Now, how do you have this empathy? When you empathize someone, you have to maintain an eye contact. You look into the eyes when you talk to the person. You have to be attentive. You have to listen to what the person says. You have to listen. The person should feel that you are listening. Rather than, even if your student comes to talk to you and you are just sitting here and you're just, yes, speak on, I'm listening, and you're doing your work. Okay, and what did you do? What did you do to handle? And then you continue doing your work. It doesn't help you. You actually have to leave everything and devote that time for the person. That is just nothing but empathy. It may be a situation when the person needs your help, a person needs your time. You have to devote it unconditionally without being carried with other or bogged on certain other things where you're already having responsibilities or you need to be, you're committed to, but that doesn't matter. You have to find time. What else? With your expression. You have to have that kind of empathetic expression. You have to look at the person and then either just listen, nod your head, instead of saying, okay, speak, I'm listening. It's not being empathetic. What is happening? You're just doing something for the sake of doing, isn't it? Empathy is one of the greatest component of emotional intelligence. So you have to develop that in yourself. Social skills. All the components are equally important, but these are things which you have to develop. Some people by nature may be like, their personality may be very quiet, or they're used to different kind of living styles, so they don't interact much. You call those people quite reserved by nature. You see people, right? So those people, when they come, they're actually a little set back, they don't talk much, they just mind their, but that doesn't mean that, they're not sociable. They can develop their social skills. Social skills are nothing but then interaction as appropriate. Somebody comes in the morning to your staff room, you can say, hey, good morning, ma'am. There are different ways of saying, some people who are very meek might say good morning, but that's also a greeting. You have to interact. How are you feeling today? How is it? You can talk to people. You can even tell the parents. You have to talk to the parents. Once in a while, you can call the parents. Every time a call comes from the teacher, the parents say, oh, the teacher is calling. My child is up to something wrong. What is this? Why? Oh, hello, ma'am. How are you? What happened? This is a question usually a teacher asks. But you can always say, No, I just called. It's just a wellness call. Okay, today, you know what? He gave me an answer which was really, really good. Your son answered this question and he's doing really good. Or you can say that, okay, he was doing good, but then, I found that he's a little, distracted, but it's okay. I put him on track. I've been watching him. He's showing a lot of difference. Make it realistic, because, those are things that you should do so that you develop a positive kind of interaction with the parent. Not always, you're not a carrier of bad news, because each time ma'am calling or school calling, the parents get paranoid up to something not too good. Building relationships is that communicating and maintaining friendships. You don't have to maintain, you don't have to call them and talk about, the price of the vegetables or the movie or the cricket match, nothing of that sort. But you can just maintain and say, I hope the rains were bad. Is it everything, is everything okay there? So how are you commuting? How is this child coming to school? So is he okay? Is there anything that, you need us to look to, or you want us to, is he going to come in early, or he can't travel much? Kindly let us know what we can do for, or if he is sick, especially, he's not coming to school, you can always call and check. Kindly let us know what we can do. Please don't worry. We can actually do a remediation for him. We can, those are the things how you build up friendship, not a personal friendship. Social skills are actually very important. Why I picked up these kind of examples is because you interact with a lot of people, especially parents. So building a social relationship with the parent is very, very important for you, so that you have a good ecosystem within the school. Now, what is the significance of EI? Having said so much, why do you need EI? You need to be more resilient to stress that you may face in life. We all face stress, isn't it? Different kinds of stress. But then you have to, whatever stress you face, it is important that you come back to your state. You have an emotion, anger or frustration. You faced it now, or a child has really, really been bad to you. He's upset you. And then what happened? You're really stressed. You're really angry, but you've shown your anger. You've given the message. Come back to the position. Always you have to come back from where you fell to your emotion, come back. So that is where you have to get back to your resilience. So when you cope with your resilience, the more you're able to cope with it, you are more emotionally intelligent. So when you're trained to be emotionally intelligent, you're able to cope up with the stressors of life. Work-related outcomes, including you have better teamwork, you have better overall job satisfaction, you feel a positivity. It's good for your psychological and well-being, your psychological health, your mental health and well-being, your physical health. It actually becomes better, including somatic complaints. And also your somatic complaints are what you feel that you're really sick, because there's nothing, but then you feel, tired and, burned out, and then you have body ache and you have headache and all these kind of things. But the moment you feel that, things are not as you think, every other person has to play a role. But the more, if you are an example, people will actually adopt those changes. Just like smiling at a person. You smile at somebody, automatically you get the smile back. If not today, you'll get it in 1 day or 2 days. Okay. There are, you can try even smiling at people you see every day, not strangers though. You can smile at people probably when you're, on your way to work, you see a lot of familiar people. You try smiling at them, the next day they'll smile at you. Social relationship, it helps in a lot in maintaining social relationships a lot. Now, what is the importance of emotional intelligence in students? Students, if you are a healthy, emotionally intelligent, healthy person as a teacher, what happens to your students? They will also become the same way as you. For example, you come to class and say, good morning, children. They'll say, good morning, ma'am. Whereas you come and say, good morning, children. They'll say, good morning, ma'am. How is it going to be? You smile at them, they'll smile at you. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. So how are you today? That expression, how are you doing today? So how have you been? Welcome back after holidays. It's a kind of, you're giving a positive affirmation. But children, what will they do? They feel that kind of dopamine rush in them. They feel the happiness in them. So what happens? That is a emotion developing in them. They become happy, sociable, self-confident, and they're not stressed. They feel that, okay, there is a ma'am who's in front of us, she's smiling. You can't, your body language, everything matters. Your physical appearance, everything matters for the child. So what they develop more social relationships in school, and they have a positive impact on academic performance. Oh, I feel good to come to school. Okay, there's somebody waiting. It's a beautiful atmosphere. Whereas if you have a routine where you're just folded hands and you just come and you don't smile, you don't talk, somebody, talks, you say, what is happening there? You just look at them and say, what is this? You're talking. You have to manage a class. You can say, excuse me, what is that? What is that you're talking? Even I need to know, but not now. We can talk after class. Doesn't that sound better? Then, if your students are not, then they're not able to regulate. Your students will become like you. They become depressed and they become sad. Amount of, the negative side of emotions build on them. And what happens is they become moody. When they grow up in that kind of environment, they become moody and the overall health turns into a different tangent. So such kind of children go into distractions like smoking, alcoholism or substance abuse, and even self-harming behaviors because they're moody. Then they, get irritated and frustrated, and they just try to meddle with other things. So this has been proven by research, and it is also behavioral research. Psychologists have actually put this kind of research studies on children, saying that the childhood experiences affect the personality development of a person. So it is very, very important that you impart positive emotions, or you impart positive emotional intelligence strategies to your children, to your students, so that they become positively charged, emotional intelligent individuals. Okay, so how do you do that? You have to be empowered yourself with emotional intelligence to empower your students. You can discover new things together, something which you need to do. You heard about some new discovery or something. You can actually tell them, you know what? Did you hear about it? You're not the university or master of everything, but you are a constant learner. You have to show them, okay, what did you hear? Did you hear about it? What is it that you understood? Okay, you hear from everyone and say, even I heard this. Okay, you have a point there. The child is gaining confidence. The child says, oh my God, my ma'am has actually acknowledged what I have been doing. How did you research that? Did you read about it? Okay, so this is what you understand and this is what it is. So let us collate everything together. You're discovering it through them. You're making it interactive. You can actually, somebody, says, what are you talking? Ma'am, you know what, in class, somebody was saying, this person was saying something, it was very amusing. What is it? Tell me also, let me laugh. There might be some silly joke, but you feel amused, you can laugh, it's okay. Nothing goes wrong. Just a matter of 2 minutes. You're laughing with them. You're just letting yourself loose and laugh. It's okay. But that doesn't mean tomorrow your child, you have to have your kind of boundaries. You can't expect the child to come and say, hi, ma'am, high five. No, you can't do that. The child comes to you with a high five. Say, no, not a high five now. Okay, hi, good morning. You can just say good morning, turn it around. But don't say, hey, you're not supposed to do that. This is not the way you behave. Or somebody has a joke. This is not a joke time period. You cannot behave this kind of tone, and this kind of, handling will not help you in any way. You won't sacrifice your authority. In fact, you're going to build yourself as a personality. You're going to show yourself as a different personality. Participate in projects. Share your passion. You assign a project to them and say, okay, go home, do it and bring it back. I don't want to, no questions. No, you have to say, look, this is what the project is. How are we going to do it? And then you become a team leader. You become a team leader. Hear them out. Go with them with every other thing so that they learn the art of communication. They learn critical thinking. They learn to manage many kind of emotions. Okay, share your passion. You can say, you know what, when I did this is what I liked in this learning. This is the way I did it, that I enjoyed doing it. Laugh at your children's, students' jokes. As I told you, replace lectures with conversations. You can actually talk to them. You can say that, even if you teach any subject, you can have it as a conversation. Don't have to have, you can have a definition, but again, you can go as a conversation. Move on. Somebody has done a terrible mischief in class. Somebody has really, really misbehaved, unacceptable behavior. You have handled it. The school has handled it. There's been a disciplinary action that happened in class 6. Okay. on day 30. It happened. It's been settled. The day 32, the child is back in class. You treat him as, yes, come on, welcome back. And then you don't show anything that has happened earlier. You don't carry that with you. You can't be saying, okay, you're there back today. I know what you're up to, and you don't play with me. You can't have that expression. Please do not have that kind of expression. But you can say that, okay, whatever's happened has happened. The child will get time or will have a opportunity to think more, or he will actually have a time for reflection or introspection. What have I done? That's a better way of handling. That is an actual terrific emotional intelligent management. Okay. Now, in communication, what do? As I told you, your interaction. How do you interact with parents, with your peers, with your students? As I told you, no high five, but then yes, you can actually give them a high five. It's a good job. You can give them. You can talk. Okay, come. Now, you joke, you talk, you do everything, but then, okay, fine. Now, the next 20 minutes, we are going to do this. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes after that to talk. But before that, we are just going to focus only on what we have to finish. Now, our time starts now, and then you start. You can actually switch from one mode to another, maintaining eye contact, listening skills, and also using simple language. Okay, your simple kind of language. You don't have to complicate it and say. You can just say small, simple words that everyone understands, whether be it with your parents or with your teacher, with your peers or your students. When you write, you can write better language. Facial expression. You may have a lot of stress at home, or you may be having a lot of stress in personal life, but do not have that on your face. You might have been really angry in the morning, but the moment you step into the school, you're coming into a different world. The same way, when the child enters the school, every other child is the same. They may be children of high celebrities or important people, or whoever, and there may be people who are below that level. But once they enter the compound, they're all the same. So how do you treat them? You treat them all the same. Your expression is the same. You can't be good, really good to a first. Come on, speak. I know you're going to give me the right answer. And then you say, okay, come on. Now, how are you going to speak? Give me the answer. No, come on. You can do it. Yes, speak. I will help you. Where do you get stuck? Okay, let's see. You know so much. Let me help you out do the rest. That will help you a lot. Communicating to parents also, you can say that, no, this is not okay. He's failed or he's got low marks. That doesn't mean that he's not a good student. But look, he's been doing good, significantly well in all the other subjects. So here there should be some problem which we can sort out. It's not that he's not going to do well. Just one topic. It's fine. We can manage. Okay. Tone and modulation, as I told you, you can't, even if you have to say silence, if you say that, it doesn't help. They will scream little more, and they might be quiet for some time. After some time, the more you say with that tone, they're not going to listen. You can only say that, please, silence, and then same tone you can actually raise your volume, but then you have to bring your modulation down. And giving the last word, like, you are not going to do it again. No, I would be happy if you don't repeat it again, because it's going to be really, really bad if you're going to do that. That message is conveyed in a different way. Social skills, building rapport, respond but don't react. You can respond but don't react. As I told you, don't show your anger. Show gratitude. I'm so thankful that you came and told me that you are upset with this, and you acknowledge what I say. I'm really, really happy. Let us do it together. We are finding a common goal here. We'll do it together. We can actually work it out together. Setting boundaries. How do you set boundaries? Parents might be calling you, at different hours and say, ma'am, look, you can always say, oh, did you try to call me? Because, I don't actually take my phone after this time. It's after you can call me during school hours, or, any particular time, or you can just send a note in the diary. You can't say, please don't call me. No calling me. I cannot take calls. I'm not allowed to take calls. You can say, in case I miss your call, just send me a note. Okay, that's fine. That's it. Okay, so those are the ways how you develop your social skills. How do you overcome obstacles? You might find obstacles all over with your emotions. Okay. You have to recognize and admit your failure. You haven't done something well. Okay. So you can say, oh, I could have done this better. If I had done it this way, it would have been better for me. Fine. I can find ways to do it. You disagree for something. No, that's not the way. I'm not going to do it. Instead of saying that, you can say, I feel that, it won't work that way, but I think this will work out better. Don't you think so? Staying cool under pressure. It's not so easy, but you should actually think or regulate your emotions, saying that there's no way that things are going to change if I react now. So the best thing is that I just remain cool and I can do what I can when the time is right. Okay. Sandwich model feedback. This is, you have to say something really bad. You can say, something you're actually calling somebody, or you're talking to a child also. I actually want to tell you something. You helped me a lot that day, with so many things that needed help, because, we needed something for the school day, or you helped me a lot. But then I have something which is really, really upsetting. I've been told that you have been scribbling on the desk, or you have been breaking things here. Then I felt very upset. I'm sure that then you give another feedback saying, but I'm sure that, you're going to not do it again. Probably it was one of those days you did it. I have assured that you are not a person who's going to do that. You will take leadership on many things for the betterment of the school, but you're not going to do such thing. If it's a disciplinary action that is to be taken also, you can put it in a sandwich model feedback and say, certain things have certain protocol, we have to handle it this way. You're giving a good feedback, then you're giving the bad one, and you're sandwiching into the good one. So what happens? The child will feel, oh, ma'am is always giving me bad feedback. The child is wrong, obviously, always negative. Instead of that, give a positive, a negative, and then a positive. You will actually sandwich it, because two positive things coming on two sides and the negative one in the middle will actually help the child to camouflage a lot of things and handle things better. Power of forgiveness, as I told you earlier, have that kind of thing. Don't hold vengeance to any person that you feel has wronged or done any harm, but the better thing is to move on. Now, what are the EI tools? How do you handle all these things? You can actually make a journal. Journalizing is one of the strongest things. It's nothing but writing a diary. You can actually, when you can, if you have some kind of emotion which you, for example, you may feel angry, frustrated, you can actually keep a log of things saying what frustrated you, what made you frustrated. You can write it down, and then you can say how would you handle that? How would you want that to be handled? How could you have handled it better, and how you handled it? These four things you can actually note. How did you handle? Which way better you could have handled? How would it be handled better? If it was like this, it would have been better. And how will you handle it next time? Suppose that such a thing happens. It will help you a lot to manage emotional intelligence. Meditation. Meditation is not just sitting in a place, closing your eyes, leaving everything. No, it is just relaxing yourself. Keep your phone away. Keep everything. Just sit even with your eyes open. Listen to things around you. See things around you. Feel things around you. Listen to the natural noises. What do you hear? What do you feel? So that actually brings you into a total balance, because in between classes, especially after one hour after the other, if you're having back-to-back classes, this is one thing which you can actually practice. Identify triggers. What triggers your emotion? What makes you sad? What makes you happy? Something makes you sad. What is it? Traffic jam makes you sad. Okay, switch on the music. Listen to the music. Keep a little bit of music with you. So hear that. Or then hum a music, or think of something else that you can do your planning, something else. Or what makes you angry? Something which goes beyond your control. How can you direct that anger? Breathing techniques and taking a break. Taking a break from everything is like, you just shut down everything, close your phone, and just take a walk. Just walk around. Just go maybe a school garden or wherever to the far tap. Just look at the trees, look around, and then come back. Just a small walk when you have your free period. It helps a lot. Now, breathing technique is kept for the last. Why? Because this is one thing which I want you to experiment. Now, I'm just taking the left hand finger, hold your finger like this, and just squeeze your finger with your right hand. Just squeeze it. Just squeeze it hard, hard, hard till you feel the pain. Now, I just want you to check if you're breathing. Are you breathing now? You're not breathing because you're focusing only on the pressure of pressing your hand and on your finger with your hand and feel the pain, isn't it? So what happens here? When you're actually pressing like this, you're not even breathing. So this is exactly what happens when you have an emotion. When you're angry, your emotional brain works. Your rational brain doesn't work. It doesn't work rationally. So same way, you don't breathe. When you're angry or when you're frustrated or you're facing a negative emotion, the best thing is take a deep, deep breath. Take a deep breath, slowly breathe out. It will definitely help you to manage your emotion. Now, I have an assignment here. I'm just giving you an example. Every Monday, we have the submission of, every Wednesday, we have a submission of an assignment for class grade 8, okay? I'm just taking one. So there is a festival on Monday and Tuesday, and therefore these are public holidays. So which means Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are holidays, okay? And then the submission is due on Wednesday. As a teacher, how would you handle this? This is something which I give for thinking to many of the students, many of the teachers sessions that I conduct. So here, I would, in the interest of time, there are different answers that I've received. People say that I will ask them to finish, I will give them one more extra day. I will ask them to do it, do it and submit it on Thursday. Or some people said, I will ask them to give it to me on Friday. Or some people said, no matter what, they have to give it on Wednesday. Okay. But I would suggest the best thing is 4 days holidays, you're getting a holiday, your family is getting a holiday, your children are getting a holiday. You have planned a trip outside or you have planned whatever. It's an assignment which needs due importance. Every Wednesday it has to be submitted. But you can tell it in such a way that you can give an incentive to the children saying that, you know something, Wednesday, the assignment is due, but understanding that 4 days are holidays, I wouldn't want you all to sit at home and do your assignments. But I want you to take a holiday, take a break, come back and submit both assignments together the next Wednesday, which means the coming Wednesday, you will have 2 assignments to do. Won't you do that? They will happily do it. You're giving double work, extra work, but they will happily do it. You are relaxed because you don't have the hassle of correcting that assignment, on after coming back after holidays or checking those, or you don't have that thing of following up on them because most of the children might not be able to do. Their holiday is going to get spoiled. This is one example that I have given. Okay, now here is an equation that I'm giving at the end of the session, that is parental love plus professional care of a devotional teacher is transformation of a child, which means if you assure the child saying that, don't worry, I am here for you. You have not fared too well, but I will help you out. Why am I here? I'm here to help you. You tell the parent, please do not worry about this. We will deal with it. We are going to deal with it better because he is in our school. It is our responsibility to see that he does well. So please don't worry. You're giving a different kind of situation there. So what does the child feel? My parents are working for me. My teachers are working for me. And I have to really, really do my best. That is a transformation you have here. So this is how you connect emotional intelligence and you link it in the ecosystem of the school, be it with your peers, with your parents, with your students, or with the management. You can have this link of a we attitude, okay? Balancing your emotions in a we attitude. That's all for the session today. I've managed to, collate a lot of things. I know it was quite one after the other. So I'd welcome a few questions from you.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Yes, ma'am. Shashi, ma'am. Please ask your question. Please unmute. Maybe she's not able to unmute herself.
You can
Hello,
actually,
ma'am. Can you hear me?
tell me.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. So I'm Shashikala here. So happy for today's workshop, ma'am.
Thank you.
And you have actually reinforced me so much. You made me believe that what I'm doing is actually right, the right way of teaching. Where because somewhere I was feeling that being friendly, actually not friendly, only approachable, maybe not the right way. We have to be more firm. But today you made me feel that yes, we are doing the right thing. So I'm very happy for the workshop, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. That's good to hear. So it's the being acceptable and being firm is different. Even being acceptable, as I told you, you have to have your boundaries. Okay, you have to limit yourself in certain kind of relation. Like they can't talk everything to you. They have to have certain boundaries. You have to set your boundaries. Okay,
Exactly.
if you have that kind of approach of being approachable, that's the best way, because children are more open to talk and they're more open to interact. That is what we need. Okay,
Exactly,
one
ma'am.
thing which I feel that can be inculcated in everyone, and emotional intelligence is something which can be developed. It can be developed. You can practice it. You can actually improve on these kind of qualities or the confidence. Okay,
Yes.
thanks a lot. Thank you
Thanks a
so
lot,
much for
ma'am.
sharing.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Miss Rajita. Please unmute, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was a very nice session and very informative. I have a question to deal with children who are moody and not ready to open up. So we have a quite number of children in the school where children are unable to open up. How many ever we may try, so we are unable to move ahead. Like what is wrong with them to find out? Like, can you help with a few tips about it?
Just a second. Just a second. So what you said was children don't express much, or what were you trying to say?
Children are not opening up.
Children are not opening to talk.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so in that case, yeah, what you can do is, it's a normal thing, because probably it could be due to many things. It could be due to the lack of communication problem, or it could be the language problem, or it could be some other underlying problem that they are facing. Okay, now you actually don't have to sit in class and talk. You can. I would suggest that off hours, or during some time, you can slowly you can take them to the library or take them for a walk and say that, why is it that you don't open up? Why don't you talk? I find that you're quite set back, or you're quite reserved. What is it? Then they might say that it's nothing. No, it's so you can, if you actually need to improve those skills, the best way is that you will have the talkers in your class, or you'll have the social bees in your class, or you can put them, you can shuffle them together. Never put those people isolated, saying that they don't talk, but then always make sure that you put them in groups where they talk. Or still you don't find a difference, you can actually find out why they are not talking by asking them. If you don't get the answer from them, you can check with the parents. Is there anything that is affecting them? Are they not happy in school, or something that is beyond? Probably it could be some situation at home, okay, which we don't know. Or mostly, I have come across certain students who have um, issues at home, like parents getting separated, and then the child undergoes a stress. So in those kind of situations, sometimes the child might tell you those things. You don't have to empathize in such a way, saying, I'm so sorry for you. I know that, you can just say that, yeah, I understand that makes you feel sad, whatever the situation is. But it's just that, these things are something which is unfortunate. But let us see how best we can find happiness in our school. The best I can do for you. There is some reassurance you can give them, and that will definitely work. You can always give them constant reassurance.
Yes, Miss Kirti.
Have I answered your question?
I believe. Yes, Miss Kirti.
Hello,
Your
ma'am.
question, please.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Tell me.
Good evening, ma'am.
evening.
It's a very wonderful session, actually.
Thank you.
Ma'am, as you told, yes, of course, I will allow my children to talk in the class or laugh in the class. But one thing, I will more examples I will give whichever is happening a daily basis. I will connect more that examples with the daily basis, whatever they're leading in the life. But sometimes what will happen means if I give examples, whatever it's going on everyday basis, but they will be in that mode only. They will not come back to the that lesson mode. So what
Yeah.
I can how I can manage this?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question that you asked. It's actually that, as I told you, you have a 40-minute session, right? Every day, 40 or 30 minutes class?
40 minutes, 40 minutes.
So yeah, so it's like you can actually break that into components, because 40 minutes of divided attention from a child is impossible. I
Yes.
don't think, because it is like, the first 30 minutes will be really, or 20, actually attention sustains only for 20 minutes. Okay. And then the rest of the 20 minutes, just, I don't know. That's why we say that every 20 minutes is better to get up and then, take a break and sit down. What you can do is, when you come to class, you can actually say, you give an introduction every day. You have a meet and greet. They greet you and say, okay, go straight to class. And then, you don't do that. As I know that you said you interact and you talk. What you can do is you can say that, okay, now 5 minutes I'm going to give for, our talk. Then we are going for this 30 minutes session. And again, in between or before, 10 minutes or 5 minutes after that, I can give you 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then we end our session. So they will always have reserved those talks for the last or for the first. And you can say that, you can't all talk together, together. You have to give me one at a time. You talk, but then you have to come back to our mode. Okay. You just can't keep on talking. Because we are here. I appreciate your talking. I want to listen to your, and I really want to share my ideas. I want to hear your views, but I really have to teach you also. So we can't keep on talking, but we will talk.
That's what, if I say any examples, if I give, means they will go there only. It is very difficult to come back to our lessons again. That
Yeah, it is which class do you handle?
8th to 10th, ma'am. Actually, this is I'm talking about 8th standard more.
8th standard. Yeah, that see 8th.
Hello.
I guess
vulnerable to a lot of distractions also. So they do talk. So what you can do here is you can handle it like this, saying that I will listen to you, but you have to listen to me. Okay. Now after this, let's calm down. Let's go back. We can't be just circling around this. We will talk and we'll finish it. That's it. That's the only way that you can do that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Then one more thing, just I want to share. Every day before I start the class, I will not tell them to wish me. If I enter the class, they should. I have given them some task, weekly one task, like grammar, any definition, like any poem. They have to recite. Instead of saying good morning or wishing, I will do this activity, ma'am. Actually.
Yeah, that's a good one. But a greeting has got a lot of, as I told you, the tone. Okay. Your style of, redefining that is really, really good. Something very unique. But as I told you, a greeting or a wishing is actually needed, because the tone is something which, affects. So there might be poems, or there might be quotations, or, things that they do, but still there is no harm in saying good morning, and then you rhyme it in such a way that, you can actually, I know one teacher who makes a different tune for every day. Monday is a, one way, Friday is a different day. So that way it helps. So they will also have that, because greeting has to be there, because that has to be spontaneous, because once they leave school and they're, going to any place, that should be one thing that should be inculcated in them, that they should be greeting somebody when they see. It's just like saying good morning, namaste, salam alaikum, like that. People do it in different ways. So, but that without a greeting, you can't substitute a greeting. Let the greeting be there, then followed by someone. But it's a good thing that you do.
Yes, ma'am.
It's very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
very much. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions?
Yes, Shashikala, Miss Shashikala.
Yes. Ma'am, thank you for the suggestion on how to greet good morning, different tone on different days. Thanks a lot. And ma'am, just I need a suggestion on how to handle complaints or how to put across certain complaints about students to parents. Maybe about, especially in co-ed schools when we're handling 9th standard and 10th standard, the way they behave with their classmates,
Yes.
the boys and girls. So how do we raise such kind of issues when we are putting across to parents, especially?
So usually what happens is the questionnaire that I showed you, I usually have 5 of them in the session when we have it offline in school. Okay. So this is one of the things that we focus on. So we notice that, in a co-ed school, it's very difficult because, the level of friendship between boys and girls, it's actually very difficult to judge and manage. Okay. Now, I actually have an example, like when you find, it's a boy and a girl exchanging messages or notes between themselves, and you catch them, you find something which is inappropriate. How do you handle and how do you communicate? So you actually don't have to just take this thing right away to the parents immediately, or you don't have to discuss it in the staff room or to the principal immediately. The first thing that you should do is, the first line is call them separately. Okay? Call the boy, call the girl, or the girl and the boy separately, talk to them. What is this? You can't say, how can you do this? You're too young. This is not for you. No. You just can say that, I saw this. What is this about? I mean, is it, the way you have to tell them is, see, this is a very normal emotion. You can't say, why are you doing these things? No, it is not abnormal. It's a normal emotion. I agree. But now your focus is on studies. What happens when you go for these emotions is that you get distracted and you will actually wander away with your thoughts to many other things. So the best thing is that now you can stall these things away, focus on your studies, okay? And I don't say that you don't talk to each other or don't be friendly. You have to have limits of your friendship till you become at a stage where you really feel that you can actually care for each other, or you can have the friendship, you are out of studies or whatever. But this is too premature in age, okay? So please be mindful. I'm going to, take it like this, because that you are not going to do it again. So talk to the person, talk to the boy also, okay? You can call them separate, call them together later and say, look, I've spoken to both of you. Now make sure that you listen to what I say. Having said this, you cannot just leave it there. You have to inform the parents, because ultimately it's their responsibility also to know about this. But you can't call the parent and say, please ma'am, can you come to class, there's something which has happened. This, you don't have to say that. You can call them and say, are you free to come one day to school, because I'd like to meet you in some time. You call them very, very casually, call them, but no, don't send a note or anything. You have to talk personally. If they say that they can't come to school, you can do it over a phone call. You can actually put in a long call, not a short call. You can say that if they come to school, you can say that this is what has happened. Please do not panic. I have spoken to both of them separately and together, and they have said that, they're not going to do it. But we have to be mindful, and, you cannot take that as a, but you know how emotions are. Let us be careful and let us be watchful. We, not you. Let us be watchful, but please do not make it a big issue. But just that they have done it. Let us see how it goes. And you, with the parent, have to be mindful if this is happening again. And if it is happening again, then what you can do is collective call. You call the parents of both and then the children and say that we have handled it like this, it's still going on like this, but it is high time that you have to understand or listen to what we say. So in presence of both the parents, so make sure that parents are not argumentative. All those things you have to handle separately. Handle the parents one by one, then together, then the children, and that is the last thing. In between that, you will have to inform the principal or the school authorities or however the protocol works, whether it's a school supervisor or whoever. But please do not rip apart in front of, what is this? I found this card or found this message. No. And make sure that none of the other children come to get aware of this. Mostly what happens is with the first, talk or counseling with the child and with both of them, things will be better, even though they might, but then, reinforcing that in between, and when they know that they're being watched, most of the time things will settle. But make sure that you inform the parents and tell the parents that, don't go home and make an issue out of it. But say that, you will, but after you've informed the parents, you can always tell the children, I have to tell your parents because ultimately it is, that is the way the school works. Okay? Is that fine?
Ms. Abha?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Ma'am, you can ask your question.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, Salam sir. Good evening, Rashna ma'am. Good evening, Minaz ma'am. Thank you for giving me a chance to ask the question. Ma'am, my question is, the session is really wonderful, going on very well. My question is, you addressed many issues regarding, handling of children of, young age and the teenagers. But still we very often come across the students committing suicide. For example, it was a very sad event which really shattered me in July I think July 17th or something, wherein a boy of first year engineering committed suicide just because he was caught. Not just the behavior might be, it's a debatable thing. I am not sure what exactly happened, but I just read in the news that he was caught with the mobile, and that too towards the end, and then the teachers mishandled, and then he committed suicide before the parent could reach to him. So what the school, because this guy is not, the boy was not of a teenager or something of that. He was a kind of adult, but then also he committed suicide. So, and very often we come across such, cases nowadays. So what all things a school can do, this daily talks and all, I have also been teacher for around 20 years now. So we come across, such children, young ones. But how to deal with these severe issues, what the schools can do, how it can be managed?
Yes, very, very insightful question. In the interest of time, what you said is right, because I was focusing only on, schools and certain age groups and certain topics. So emotional intelligence is a very, very big window. How if you talk about it, you can actually talk about hours. You can go on for hours and hours. But here, the beauty of this our session is that we have the question answer rounds, which will actually give us more and more insights on this. So the situation, what you said about suicide rates actually, if you see compared to 10 years ago, the rates have gone up by 45%. Okay. And during COVID, it was something like, there was a sudden surge of suicide rates. You are speaking about an adult, but here we have children, also very young age, also who commit suicide. Now, as I told you earlier, I'm going back to the talk what Dr. Salam has given. He was talking about ego, and he was talking about the stage of life. Similarly, if you see that a person to commit, suicide or suicidal harm is different, para-suicidal and suicidal cases. So why does a person commit suicide? You give up on life because you are not able to handle it. So now what happens in the recent world, or the world we are in now, children actually mature, they reach their puberty very early. They mature very quickly, but emotionally very, very weak. Why? Because parents are more supportive, very, very, what do you say? They're like overprotective parents. The parents just don't there were days when, our younger days, we would actually go for tuitions, or we would go alone, or we would, go places. But then now if you see, children are being picked up, dropped to school. They don't walk to school. They don't walk. They really don't walk, or they go by cycle, or they have their own transport, but they don't walk to school. Nowadays, we used to walk miles. It's okay. You go buy your own stationery, you wrap your books, you iron your clothes, you tie your shoelace. You can do all those things, but do children do that now? They don't. Everything is ready for them. So what happens? They're not emotionally strong enough to handle situations. Okay. So how can you identify this, or how can you support this? How much ever talks you give in school saying about anti-suicidal campaigns or anti-substance abuse, whatever you talk, it doesn't matter, because here down the line there are certain traits in a personality which develops with unfulfilled desires of childhood. When children are not adequately satisfied in childhood, then comes the next stage, which is not sad. Each stage develops. Okay, deficiency, it develops as a deficiency as growth. So what happens is you are not able to identify what is actually bothersome. So earlier, there was a teacher who asked me a question. Children don't talk much. They don't open up much. Why is that? So we as teachers need to understand, why are they not behaving the same as the others? Why don't they talk? So for us, there could be any other thing. They may be, I did not take it to a greater tangent, because this question will also have answers for that. They will be mood disorders with them. They may be undergoing depression. They might be having general anxiety disorder. We don't know what they're facing. So the moment you see, you can address the root cause. If you actually, the person who committed suicide being caught with a mobile towards the end, and how it was handled. So it actually boils down to a lot of things, because if you work that back to school, you will see that at some point there is some teacher who says, yes, he had a kind of, he was little different during that time. Some people say he was always a cheerful child. No, nothing. That means he was overprotected. Very cheerful, very happy. So which means one negative emotion he could not handle and he flipped. That is where you say that emotionally he was not intelligent to handle it. Okay. So ideally the mobile was caught in class. So how would the teacher have handled it? She would have been a little harsh with him, or, he was in. So what was the feeling that happened for that? What triggered him? Either he would have been ashamed, or he would have been like, in front of everyone, he was humiliated. Some kind of emotion which he couldn't handle. That triggered an action for giving up or suicide, because he was too weak with that emotion. He did not have the resilience to come back, or the teacher handled her emotion not too good, or the parents would have handled it bad. That's what he thought. The teacher would have said, why did you keep the mobile here? Or maybe he was using it for his, examination, whatever. He was copying from that. You'll be debarred from the university. That's a disciplinary action. Okay. So instead of that, the way you can handle, because you have to be really, really, sensitive with these kind of issues, because somebody gets humiliated, then it's going to be really the way they react, you never know, because everybody won't take it the same. The punishment which follows, or the reinforcement, is going to be bad. So it will be handled in a different way. So the best thing is that we have to actually work back on things like how we got a question earlier. You see people or children who are a little different in class. What makes them different and why? You ask all these questions, find the root cause for that, address the root cause. We all have school psychologists, and we have therapists in school itself, right? You can identify. You can actually, with the parent, you say that, see, mental health needs to be addressed. You have to take care of that. You have to tell them right from there. That is why I always prefer to address teachers as mentors. When we say teachers, you can't be just a teacher with a chalk and writing on a blackboard, or taking just test papers with the children. You actually have to turn to a mentor. And handling situations, be it whatever, embarrassing situations also, you would get a lot of situations. The way you handle it has to be right as a teacher, so that the person at that side, you have to see how will he trigger. That is what I spoke about, empathy. Empathy. How would he feel in that situation is what you have to analyze.
Indeed, ma'am, very true. On the contrary, parent also plays an important role. Maybe the child, on the contrary, might have thought that my parent would, the reaction from the parent side would have been even harsher.
Yes,
So better.
Yeah, that's why I broke down that earlier situation into 3 parts. First the child, girl alone, then the boy alone, girl and boy together, then the parent,
Parents, yes.
separately, then the parents together, each step together. You can't, I actually at a PTA meeting, I have seen a teacher, in front of all the students and all the other parents, showing the mobile to the father saying, this is a message your son sent to this girl. You see this? And that boy was so humiliated. It was very, very, the father was actually in tears. See, it is something the boy has done wrong, but the way it was handled was really, really wrong. No, that's not a right. You don't find right in that. You find only wrong in that. There's no right. So that's exactly what triggers. So every other thing, every emotion is triggered by some kind of behavior, and that affects the mental state. So that is what our definition of emotional intelligence is. So when you develop it as a teacher, you will actually instill or inculcate that to your students, and you give it to them, and they will also develop that kind of skills and intelligence.
Yes.
Right?
Sometimes we should just follow this "it's cool to be kind" thing, The first approach should be the kind one. Yes.
Compassion, kindness.
Compassion, yes. Indeed. It was very thoughtful and a correct approach that you stated, ma'am. Any other question, anyone? Dear educators, any other question?
Don't think so. No.
All right.
Yeah.
So then I will just give this session a final wrap up. I, on behalf of BTAG, would like to express a heartfelt gratitude to our respected resource person, Ms. Rachna Jagdish Ram, for conducting such an enriching session for us today. This session was much needed, and we are glad that you brought to us so beautifully. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for your time, your precious time, and your precious knowledge that you have imparted today for all the educators present in this platform. I express a humble gratitude to Dr. Abdul Salam sir for organizing such an important session for us, the educators. Also, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to moderate the session once again. A big thanks to Mr. Arun sir for all the efforts to give a nice AI start to this session. And most importantly, a big thank you and a shout out for all the enthusiastic participants and for their active participation. I sign off for now, wishing you all a good night and a Merry Christmas in advance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Minas. You have very well utilized the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, Rachna ma'am. That was so good. It was so wonderful that you have given a lot of inputs in different contexts. And definitely, this is going to help all the teachers to practice in their daily classroom, interaction and especially dealing with the children and parents.
Thank you very much.
Definitely, emotional intelligence, when it is practiced, it makes us to showcase a mature behavior. That is what is required. A maturity in our dealings with others, whether it is student or colleagues or parents. When you appear to be so mature, understanding, that the word understanding, then you become empathetic and sympathetic. That is where you become a role model for others to follow. So all emotional conflicts and all can be easily managed when one understands his own self and his abilities, and he believes in his abilities and becomes confident. No suicide, nothing can happen. We have to remember that there may be hurdles. Life is like that. There are challenges in life. These challenges are there in order to just make us stronger. So that is a kind of ordeal, a test for us to how we are going to cope up with challenges and all. A tiger or a lion who attempts to hunt a prey, a deer and all, but fails, does not commit suicide. It tries in a better way and succeeds. This is a lesson for human beings. We have to learn many lessons from our surroundings, these animals and all, and because we have been, known as the most important creation, the supreme creation of God, with lots of potentials, with lots of abilities. We are controlling even the huge, the biggest animals, right? That much ability we have. But when a simple thing comes to our mind and disrupts us, we think of committing suicide. So there is no match. There's a mismatch. So one should believe in one's potential. There is greater potential in oneself, and these hurdles, these challenges are only tests to prove that you are strong. So thank you so much, Rachna ma'am, for giving us so many insights that have opened many of us eyes. Definitely, we will take it up and utilize in your personal and professional life. Thank you so much, all the participants. Keep connected. This session is so important because we as principals or leaders, we see the conflicts and this mismatch in the behavior in our school. That's the reason we select this topic, and I asked my teachers not to miss this session because this is going to be very helpful in their professional and personal life. So thank you once again, everybody, Rachna ma'am, Meenas ma'am, each and everyone, BTech family. Have a very good night. Keep connected. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Yeah. Good night, ma'am. Thank you.